All right. Are we live? Uh-oh. Okay, let me turn this off. Hey, everybody. Economic Ninja here, coming to you live from the new studio. I don't know what the echo is going to be like. Can you guys let me know down below? I might have to put some sound baffling in here. Today, what we're going to do is we're going to talk about how to make money flipping trees and plants. To be honest with you, it's one of the greatest side hustles there are because I quite frankly like planting things and seeing them grow like my finances, and hopefully you do too. But it's an amazing way to start a tiny side hustle. I'm going to break down everything I've done, and I'm going to also put a link down to the first course I ever did was how to start a side hustle or a business, and it'll save you lots of time and money if you'll take heart take to heart a lot of the lessons and warnings of all the lessons I learned through. Okay, all right, so I'm in an excavator in the snow, and around me is a property that I'm going to start developing this spring, actually before spring, into a tree farm. I'm going to start bringing back bamboo, large timber bamboo, pine trees, sequoias, aspens, all kinds of trees. And I want you to think of it this way. First off, I always said it didn't matter if I was a millionaire or a billionaire, I will have a tree farm and I'll be out digging holes and planting trees because it's not only a great write-off, but it's great therapy, right? And there's two ways of starting a business. There's a business that sells, let's say, products right now, or there's a business that can actually develop a product over time, use those tax write-offs, legal tax loopholes. And again, I'm not a CPA, or, I just like reading books on tax, and use those write-offs and slowly over time develop that product into a sellable product and then be able to sell it and make money. Um, I'm going to plant probably 1,000 trees on this property, and I'm going to sell them later in life, right? It's almost like a secondary retirement plan where I'm selling large, massive trees that come in on a semi truck. Now, during the Great Recession, I sold lots of smaller trees, palm trees, bamboo, and things like that in 5, 10, 15-gallon pots. I had some 24-inch box pots. And where I started was I found a great deal on some palm trees that I wanted to put in my backyard. And I found such an amazing deal on palm trees. I said, hey, why don't I buy a handful extra and I'll sell them online on Facebook or on Craigslist, and those will pay for the palm trees. Well, once you start and you sell 5 or 10 or 15 and you see how fast people call you, how easy the transaction is, you go, oh, why am I not doing this with 100? Well, it turned into 1,000 with me. I always had 1,000 palm trees in my backyard. And what I learned is not only was I able to enjoy the tax write-offs back then of having a tractor, being able to rent from myself part of my own property to be able to have this business on there, and then those write-offs go against the profits that those palm trees made. But it was just an amazing experience, and anyone can do it. I know people that are they're taking something as easy. They want to sell trees, let's say, and they go and get a stick, they cut it off. It's called, and they shave off the bark around it, put it in the water, and get the roots start growing. Then they put it into soil in these little tiny pots, really tiny. And they've got like 100 of them on a table, in like an area in their backyard that can start growing. Then they transplant those plant into one gallon pots. And then they grow even more and more until they sell them. Anyone can do this. I've seen people do this and make hundreds, if not thousands of dollars each month with an area as small as a picnic table growing plants. A lot of people don't realize how easy it is to take cuttings from, let's say, succulents. Okay, this true story. About 2 years ago, we're downtown in California, and all those fancy places got all the succulents. My wife's like, "Oh my gosh, that's so beautiful!" And I go grab a leaf, and she's like, "You can't do that. It's got thousands of leaves. I just pop one off, right?" I go home and I would get the roots growing for her, and then put in a little pot, and there she has her own succulent plant. And it's amazing because I would go and I would take more than one leaf. I would leave plenty, but I would probably get 30 or 40 of these little leaves, put them in a little bag, and then I would go home and get like 30 or 40 of them started. And then before you know it, our backyard's got tons of plants around. Well, people do that on a daily basis. Go grab these little leaves, these little stems and things like that, get them growing. And then they've got them in pots and they're selling them on Facebook and Craigslist. It's absolutely an amazing thing. One thing I found is that everyone is always selling all of the products for a plant or a tree business used. And I'll give you an example. Those black plastic pots that people, buy their plants in from Home Depot and nurseries. Nurseries get those pots, those 1 gallon pots, to get their starters, and then they're always up planting, right? And you could go to just about any nursery and say, "Hey, do you have a bunch of old 1 gallon pots or 5 gallon pots?" And they go, "Yeah, I'll back." And there's usually a pile the size of a semi truck. And you could go in there and say, "Hey, how much would you want per each of those if I bought 100 of them from you cash right now?" And I've seen them as cheap as a 10 cents each. And I would go and load up my truck full of these pots, stack them inside, bring them home. Then I would go and go to my local horse ranch, and I would ask them about their manure. "Hey, what are you guys doing with your manure out back?" Like, "Oh, we just pile it up." A lot of them say, "If I brought by a dump trailer and I gave you $20 to load it with your tractor, are you cool with that?" And they go, "Bring as many as you want." And I would go back and forth with my dump trailer or my pickup truck, and I would get loads of manure that I would then till into other types of soil when I go get a load of sand or something like that. And I would get all of this stuff for practically nothing. And as you scale up, obviously you figure out, you're like, "Well, we're about to do a planting day and we're going to up pot 1,000 trees." So I would bring my family or my friends over, and we would just set up an assembly line. I would, turn it into a party. We'd have an ice chest outside and, barbecue later. And it was just this awesome day of up planting all of these palm trees or bamboo plants. And the money is absolutely incredible because with starting your own nursery, you're really starting it from nothing with little cuttings, and all you're paying for is some pots, some soil, and you could save a lot of money there, and then your water, and then it's just your time. And when you're starting a business, what's your time really worth? It's only worth what you make per hour at your day job. And what I tell people is, when you're starting out, your time is worth nothing. And a lot of people get offended by that, but when you start to realize that, you'll do a lot of things in the beginning, and as the business builds up, the plant business builds up, you'll start to figure out who to pay for what, because your time is better spent marketing or talking to customers, things like that. With the plant business, when you're doing it in your backyard, you could be open whenever you want. And I was only open for business 6 hours, 1 day a week. Like on a Saturday, I would post on Facebook or Craigslist the night before and say, "Hey, I'm doing a special sale," just like I'm doing a sale for that course down below. If you want it, if you want to start a business or a side hustle, I go from the beginning of how to raise money, like how to sell the crap in your garage appropriately for the right price, and then how to go everything from trademarking, starting an LLC, advertising, and all that stuff. So that links to below. But when I started the tree business, I would only do it 6 days a week on a Saturday, and that was the day I was pruning trees or outside watering and things like that. And I was already there, and it was great. It was on my own time. And today, with back when I was doing it, you didn't have all these incredible apps that could just take credit cards left and right. I was asked all the time, "Do you accept credit cards?" And back then I didn't, because it was sort of a pain in the butt to get out your PayPal account and bust out a laptop, and it was just a pain in the butt. Well, now it's so easy to set up an account and attach it to a new bank account that you do with like say a DBA, a doing business as your new tree business or your plant business, and you turn around and you accept credit cards, and then those credit cards go into a business type, Square account or PayPal account, and then you can reconcile those at the end of the year with your CPA and your tax professional. But what happens is, you're now turning your lifestyle, your home, parts of your home, into a legal tax loophole, a legal tax write-off. And I think that's absolutely incredible. I gotta be honest with you, I'm really liking this new studio. Real quick, yes or no? Is it like really tinny, the sound, or is it pretty clear right now? I'm just curious, because this is an awesome studio. Which again, this is a legal write-off because I'm starting this farm, and I love digging holes anyway. I don't know how many of you guys or ladies have driven tractors, but they're freaking awesome. Oh, cool. It sounds clear. And I get to use this tractor as a write-off. I get to write the entire amount off against my taxes, my income, because this is an accelerated depreciable item. It's equipment. I got the Bobcat back here. Also, again, dump trailers, things that you may need to use in normal life. But I mean, think about it. On the tree farm, anything I need lifted or moved for, my landscaping, things like that, It's a write-off. Certain aspects of my landscaping around the property will be a write-off as well, because what I'm doing, just like with the palm trees and the bamboo in California, I was planting and doing things with special lighting and stuff to give people the idea of what they could have in their yard, right? If they bought my trees. And I had so many people go, they would come and buy just one tree or two trees. And then, I'm not joking, it was usually the husband would look around, and I had like 200 palm trees in my backyard. It was a jungle. It was beautiful tropical oasis. He goes, "Yep, this is what I want. I want 10 more trees." And they would want to replicate what I had built. I had all these special effects where I built like pirate shipping crates, and I had special lighting and netting and wooden walkways, and like it looked like pirates were in my backyard. And it was done so nice, and I was able to write all that off, my outdoor bar and all that kind of stuff, because what I was doing was I was building the dream for the clients that would come in and buy the trees. Here, I'm going to have it set up where during the fall and the Christmas time, I'll be putting amazing decorations out where people will feel engaged and want to spend more and buy more trees because of the ambiance I have created, and they're going to want that themselves. So it's really cool when you think about it, how you could turn just a weekend hobby. And honestly, I think everyone should have a plant business on the side. It doesn't mean it's going to take up your time. But let me ask you this. Type ME, if you like gardening, or you like landscaping, or you like being outside. And then as you're typing it, think about how you're like, I'm already doing this. All I got to do is sort of scale up a little bit, and like here, I'm going to be building with this excavator. Now, think about this. As you want to talk about cool write-offs, you become a YouTuber or do social media. Think about this write-off. I'm going to dig into this hillside back here. I'm going to take these concrete blocks, I'm going to move them around, and I'm going to build a huge greenhouse with a fish pond inside up on the hill, right? About 6 feet above ground level. When you walk in, we're going to pipe that water through a series of pipes as the fish are in there, creating manure, creating the fish crap, right? They're going to be creating the fertilizer that runs through those pipes, and we're going to build an aquaponics system inside a greenhouse. I'm going to be growing vegetables. I'm going to be having some tree starts, things like that for the farm in there. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to get to write off a portion of that against this income, the income that I make from making YouTubes and stuff, because I'll make videos of how to do it, how I did it. And then I will also be able to, so I will be able to offset those gains, the income from, like, let's say the Google ad money and stuff like that, against it's a new set. It becomes a new set legally. And what I'll be able to do from that, this year you'll start seeing me, planting out rows of trees every once in a while in a video. You'll see me inside when it's snowing inside the greenhouse and it's all warm and tropical feeling. And I'll be able to show other people, and let me ask you this, type 10 if that's something you'd like to watch. Not only doing economics videos inside of a greenhouse or inside of a tractor, but watching the progression of someone else doing something, starting business, giving little tips and tricks for free, right, on the internet. And then what happens is I'm able to legally write a lot of that off because I'm not using it for myself. I'm actually gaining subscribers, followers, able to sell courses on it, things like that, right? So it's really neat. You need to start thinking everyone should have a YouTube channel. I know this is going off a little bit on a tangent, but everyone should have a YouTube channel, X account, and stuff like that, and start a food channel, start a travel channel, start any of those kind of types of channels. Because think about it, we all do this stuff. We all travel, we all eat, we all go on vacations. How cool would it be to turn those into legal write-offs? I hope I'm inspiring someone here. Like, can you say amen if I'm inspiring you, going like, oh yeah? Because a lot of people think that you have to be super good at something or be making tons of money in one thing to go and write it off. No, that's actually not the case. You need to have a legitimate business set up, right? And it can start as very small as like a bank account doing business as your new name. And then it grows, and it has to have a plan to make money. And so in the beginning, you don't have to be the pro at anything to own a business. And what you do need to do is not get into debt and follow down that trap and start with a massive brick and mortar. You could start with your own home. You could start with your own backyard. When we had the cops show up because they thought we were growing weed at the house in California because aerial surveillance had shown that it looked like a grow. There was like, they're looking at all these track homes. There's like 200 track homes where I lived. And then there was me. Look, no joke. They had the photo. It was great. Me in the backyard with a wheelbarrow. I had a bright yellow shirt on. I got to show that aerial photo one of these days. And there was 1,000 bamboo plants and palm trees, right? And bamboo plants from the air tend to look like weed. And so, the cops show up and they're like, hey, we need to, they're looking in the backyard. And so I'm like, you guys can come in here if you want. And they're like, no, they're embarrassed. They're like, oh, we're good. And then I'm like, hey, what do you think is a weed grow? And they just laughed. They came back here and I sold to one of them a palm tree. But my point being is that you don't need to be some pro to do this. And I think that's what's holding a lot of people back. Anyway, I got to get back to digging. So I'm going to let you guys go. How do we get this thing fired up? I don't even remember. What's my code? Jizo. And just please be encouraged that anyone can do this. All right. And hey, thank you so much for the super chat. Every single person can do this. The only question is, will you do it? I think it's important. I think it's really important. Oh, now you're all jiggly. All right. If you guys want the side hustle course, links down below. It's $99. Blowout sale. I hope to encourage a lot of you to start a business in 2026. All right. With that being said, the Ninja is out.